Today in this 2006 Honda CRV, we're going to review and install the Roadmaster Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit, part number RM-154. Let's go ahead and cover the parts that come with the kit. First off, the heart of the matter is going to be these diodes right here, which will take our signal from our RV and put it towards our taillights. We got 4 of these guys right here, 2 for running light circuits and 1 for left turning brake and right turning brake. Now you want this kit anytime you want to add power from your RV when you're towing your car. This way, when you use diodes, every time you send power from your RV to these diodes, it goes automatically to your taillights and doesn't backfeed to any part of your car, potentially causing damage. Next up, we got our terminals here that fit onto the tabs and hook into our wiring. Over here, we have this cord that will go between your RV and your towed vehicle, and it has a 4-pole flat on both ends, plus a cover built in on both ends. Alright, this also comes with zip ties to help hold up the wires when it's in place. And one thing you don't see, we'll show you in a moment, is that it has an identical set of wires just like this, but 30 foot long to go onto your car. Alright, and this is our wire harness right here that actually I already have installed on our vehicle. Again, you can see it has the same 4-pole with the cover built onto it. It's a good idea to run your wires behind your bumper cover when you have it off when you install your base plate. Not necessary, but it's a lot easier if you can do that. Let's go ahead and check out how we did ours. We simply ran ours up from behind the grill, came up over here, alongside the support, around the fuse box, and went right back down towards the bottom of the car. Now the reason why you want accessibility up on top here is in case you add a braking system. Some of them require the use of left and right turn signals in the wire for them to work. So it's easier to take care of that now than later. As you can see here, we ran our wires. Make sure we stay away from anything hot or anything moving like suspension components. Basically made a straight shot straight down to the bottom of the vehicle. Now let's go take a look underneath there and see how we ran our wires. Alright, we're underneath the vehicle here on the driver's side. You can see where our wires came out down at the bottom here. It's kind of hard to see, but back in here, there is a factory wire harness. Was able to get back here and zip tied our wire to anchor it in place to keep it from moving. So now we just followed the path of these lines right here, zip tied it to their own brackets here, help hold it in place, down to our parking brake cable, and then around a gas tank. Zip tied our wire to our support right here and come back by just below the bottom of our taillights right here. Next, we need access behind our taillights right here. So let's go ahead and open up the back gate here. To remove our taillight, we got 2 fasteners. One here and one at the bottom. Pop it out with a screwdriver in that little slot right there. And we need an 8mm socket to remove this screw. Now there's a series of snap fittings in place right here, so it can be a really tight fit. So I'm using a wide plastic trim panel tool here to kind of help work it loose. So now we have our wires loose, and we can go ahead and remove our taillight. To do that, there's not a quick disconnect, so we can go ahead and take these bulbs loose from the inside here. Or if you can place a table next to your vehicle, you can just lie it all next to it on this table right here, and we can do all our work. Let's go ahead and add our first diode. Doesn't matter which diode you use, so let's go ahead and start with our first circuit. In this case, we identified this red and black wire as a running light circuit. This goes to this bulb right here. You can double check it by looking at it when it's on the vehicle. So we're just going to simply cut our wire and strip our wires back. Let's go ahead and twist the end of our wires. Let's take one of our ends of our terminals and put it into place. One little detail I added is I actually added some dielectric grease on the inside, help protect the wires because this does sit on the outside of the vehicle. So just a little bit in there, run the wire through it, and we'll go ahead and crimp it down. Same for your other half of the wire. Let's go ahead and add our diode to it. I also put a little bit of the dielectric grease on the tabs to help protect it. Slide it in there, make sure it's a tight fit. And then we'll go ahead and add our other one onto one of the tabs. It's also a good idea to add a little bit of dielectric grease between the tabs too to help protect from corrosion between the two. Next, we'll go ahead and identify our brake light circuit, which will be this green wire with the white stripe. We'll go ahead and repeat that same process of adding our diode to that wire. With our diode in place, let's go ahead and take a moment and go ahead and pull our wires from the bottom to the top here. I'm using an old piece of Airline tubing, but this could be any piece of metal like a wire that you can drop down and use it to pull back up. All right, let's go ahead and grab our 4-pole wire and hook it to our pole wire. We don't need the very end of it because this is going to go over to our passenger side. So let's just go ahead and wrap this up and pull it to the top. We got our wires pulled up to our taillight here. Let's go ahead and split them up so we can work with them individually. Okay, I'm just going to use a razor knife here to help pull it open. Let's go ahead and connect up to our diode. First off, we'll work with our left turn signal and brake signal, which will go to this diode right here. From our RV, that's going to be our yellow wire. So I'm going to cut it. This end comes from our RV, and this end will go into our diode. I don't have to worry about the other end anymore. That won't be used. Once again, we'll strip the wires. And we'll add our terminal and crimp it into place. Now let's go ahead and move on to our running light circuit, which will be this brown wire here. So let's get these two, our green and white, out of the way. We'll go ahead and cut these guys in half so they'll both go to this tab right here. And then we're going to take these guys and actually twist them together. So this will form a junction for a running light circuit to go to this taillight and eventually out to our other side. And that's why we need this yellow terminal end right here. We'll crimp that into place. And that will go onto our tab here. Okay. All right, now at this point, we're essentially done for wiring on this side of the vehicle. I'm actually going to use some zip ties to help keep all the wires together with the diodes. With all our connections put back together, let's go ahead and reinstall our taillight. Put our wires back into our guides, make sure nothing gets pinched. Line up our tabs and put it back into place. Let's go ahead and reinstall the rest of our plugs. And just snap right back in. All right, now let's move on to our passenger side and basically repeat the same process. I'm going to take off the cap on the top. There's not one on the bottom. And we'll go ahead and remove the hardware. Our second one's hidden right here. Okay, now our taillight will come off in the same way. Just be mindful of the hatch. Just like before, we'll go ahead and take our pull wire, also my airline tubing. We'll run it down to the bottom. Okay, now let's go back underneath our vehicle and take our 4-pole end here and run it to the other side, hiding the wires behind the bumper cover. Make sure you stay away from the exhaust. And we'll use our pull wire one more time to go back up to the top. Make it a little bit easier to bring up on this side because it's a little bit tighter behind the taillight. I'm going to go ahead and cut off a 4-pole that we really don't need anyway. Attach it to my pull wire and bring it to the top. Alright, now to keep my wires from falling back down while I do my work, I'm going to go ahead and just use a zip tie to help hold it in place. Make sure to take up all our slack. Okay, let's go ahead and get this end of our wires ready. We'll split them back a little bit more. Deal with them one at a time. First off, remember our yellow wire, we don't need that anymore. So I'm just going to cut that off short. Take away some of the confusion. Next up, our white wire here. Let's go ahead and strip that back and add our ring terminal to it. So we'll take our ring terminal and we'll go ahead and add it to our white wire here and crimp it into place. Now I'm going to use a self-tapping screw to attach to our sheet metal right here. I'm using a number 10 size screw that uses a 5/16 nut driver to attach it with. Now let's go ahead and add our diodes. We'll start with a running light circuit like we did last time. And we'll go ahead and trace our wire from our running light circuit to right here. We'll go ahead and cut it. Now I'm going to make my installation of the wires a little bit lower than we did on the other side, simply because we ran out of length. So it is going to be a tight fit. So be mindful on how you run your wires. And add our terminals. Take a diode. Remember, we'll go with single tab, goes to the light bulb and our two inputs. Alright, now let's go ahead and work with our turn signal here on the passenger side. We'll trace our wire back to right here, and we'll install our diode. Alright, we've got our diodes in place. Just like last time, we'll go ahead and use some zip ties to help keep everything together. Let's go ahead and reinstall our taillight. And go ahead and put our cap back into place. Okay, with everything put back together, now would be a good time to apply power to it. In this case, I'm using a special tester, but you would also use your RV or pickup truck with a 4-pole flat to go ahead and try it out. First off, we'll take a look at our running light circuit and verify there's a bulb on each side of the vehicle. We'll turn that off and try our left turn signal, and we see that's on. Then we'll try our right turn signal. There you know that works. Now our brake signal is the same thing as our turn signal, since it's a combined system coming off the RV. So that way you know that circuit works as well. And that'll finish it for Roadmaster Universal High Power Diode Wiring Kit, part number RM-154 on this 2006 Honda CRV.